Welcome back to She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. I'm your host, Doc Shelley, here to bring you your daily dose of inspiration, empowerment, and growth. Have you ever caught yourself saying, I know exactly why that person did that? Maybe someone interrupted you in a meeting, a friend didn't return your call, a coworker seemed unusually short with you, a family member forgot something that mattered to you. Within moments, your mind has already written the story. They're disrespectful. They don't care. They're upset with me. They're intentionally making this difficult. Sometimes we're right. Many times we are simply confident. And confidence isn't the same as accurate. Today, I want to talk about the quiet power of replacing assumptions with curiosity. Because curiosity doesn't just change conversations, it changes relationships. We give ourselves context. We give other people conclusions. Have you ever noticed how generous we are with our own explanations? Oh, no, I wasn't ignoring you. I've just been overwhelmed. I wasn't trying to be short with you. I've had a bad day. I didn't mean to forget. I've just had a lot on my mind. I often say we judge ourselves based on our intentions and we judge others based on their behaviors. We know our intentions. We know our circumstances. We know what was happening behind the scenes. But someone else behaves the exact same way. We often skip right past curiosity. We give ourselves context. We give other people conclusions. That is a fascinating double standard. And it's one worth paying attention to. Assumptions quietly shape relationships. Here's what's tricky about assumptions. We don't just think them, we respond to them. If I assume you are upset with me, my tone changes. If I assume you don't respect me, I have zero patience for you. If I assume you are intentionally making my life harder, I will likely show up differently in our next conversation. The other person senses something has shifted, and now they are responding to my reaction. Before long, a story I created begins shaping a relationship that never needed to change. That is the hidden cost of assumptions. One of my favorite coaching questions is incredibly simple. When someone tells me what another person was thinking or feeling, I'll ask, did they actually tell you that? Almost every time the answer is, oh, well, no, they didn't. Then I'll ask, so what do you know for sure? Usually the call or the room goes quiet because in that moment we are separating facts from interpretations. We realize that somewhere between what happened and what we believed, our brain filled in the blanks. And before we knew it, we were reacting to a story instead of responding to a human being. That one question, what do you know for sure, has changed countless coaching conversations. Not because it gave anyone the answer, rather because it reminded them they didn't have all the information just yet. Curiosity has language. One of the most powerful communication skills I've ever learned is not complicated. It's simply replacing assumptions with questions. Instead of deciding what someone meant, ask. One of my favorite phrases is, can you help me understand? Another one I use often is, hey, I just want to check something out with you. Do you hear how different those feel? There's no accusation. It's an invitation to conversation. They leave room for misunderstanding. They leave room for context. They leave room for someone to explain something you couldn't possibly have known. I've lost track of how many conversations have started with an assumption and ended with relief because someone simply asked instead of guessed. Curiosity does not change the answer. It changes the relationship. Leave room to be wrong. One of the healthiest habits we can develop is leaving a little room for the possibility that our first interpretation isn't the only interpretation. Not because we should ignore red flags, not because we should dismiss our intuition, but because humility recognizes that we rarely have the entire story. Sometimes people are distracted because they're overwhelmed. Sometimes people are carrying burdens we will never know about. Sometimes a decision has everything to do with timing, strategy, or circumstances, and nothing to do with us. The more room we leave for possibility, the less likely we are to create unnecessary pain for ourselves and others. Here's your reflection question. Think about a relationship that's been weighing on you. Have you been responding to a conversation or reacting to an assumption? And your power thought, curiosity asks better questions than certainty ever will. Relationships are rarely damaged by the questions we ask with genuine curiosity. Relationships are often damaged by the assumptions we never bother to question. The next time you find yourself convinced you know what someone meant, pause. Leave a little room for possibility. Leave a little room for grace. Leave a little room to discover that your first interpretation may not be the only interpretation. Sometimes one honest question can accomplish what hours of overthinking never will. This week, catch yourself the next time you think, I know why they did that. Instead of finishing the story in your own mind, practice one simple phrase. Could you help me understand? Or, I'd like to check something out with you. Watch what happens when curiosity gets the first word instead of assumption. As always, thank you for joining me for another episode of She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. If today's episode reminded you of someone you care about, please share this episode with them. Healthy relationships aren't built by people who always get it right. They're built by people who stay curious long enough to understand each other. Until next time, remember, before you decide what someone meant, ask them. Curiosity has a language, and it just might change the conversation.